Hi, in this video, we'll be continuing our study of economics, and in the previous two videos, I've talked about demand and supply. Now we shall put them together to determine the supply and demand model to help us determine the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. So, I throw out this term, equilibrium. What does it mean? It just means that the supply and the demand are the same at that point. So it is a state in which the opposing forces are balanced. So it's the demand force and the supply force. So you can see when you draw your demand curve and your supply curve, the point where they intersect is when the quantity supplied equals to the quantity demanded, and that is known as the market equilibrium point. And the price in which it is at is called equilibrium price, and the quantity which it is at is called equilibrium quantity. So you might ask, why do we want to produce at this price point or this point? Well, let's first determine what happens if we produce at a price that is lower than this equilibrium price. If we produce at a price that is lower, then what we realize that there will be excess demand. For example, if you look into this over here, if you produce, the equilibrium price is $3. If you produce anything less, the quantity demanded will outweigh the quantity supplied. So excess demand is just at any given price, there is an excess of quantity demanded over quantity supplied. And it is measured by the amount of quantity between QD and minus QS. So because of this, buyers will now compete with each other to get more maple syrup than it is available. So there's like a lack of supply and there's a lot more demand. So it results in a shortage, and this excess demand will mean that buyers will now have to compete with them. And how do you compete with someone? Like, how would a seller want to sell you their product over someone else? What you do is you bid a higher price. So we offer a higher price so that we can get the product. In this case, now price will rise. So you can see that because of this shortage, price will keep rising and rising and rising until the demand and supply equal to one another. And that is why we will move up the supply curve and up the demand curve as the price rises. Now, we take into account the other scenario when the price is above the quantity equilibrium price. In this case now, the quantity supplied is more than the quantity demanded, so there is an excess supply. This excess supply is also known as a surplus, and in this scenario now, sellers will have to compete with one another to sell more products because they produce more. So, but then there's an excess supply. So how do we sell more products? Well, they have to lower their prices. Makes sense, right? Then the buyers will see that, oh, this seller is selling at a cheaper price, so he will go for it instead and buy from them. So the sellers will start lowering their prices and start lowering more until they reach the equilibrium price. In this case, now the demand and supply forces are equal, and so there is no pressure on any side to go up or go down anymore. So in this competitive market, to find the equilibrium price and quantity, we just draw the demand and supply curve and find the intersection point. Now, certain scenarios will come into place when we have a change in equilibrium point. So to change the equilibrium point after settling on the demand and supply, it means that one of these curves must be shifted. Else, if you just shift the price, then you go back down to the equilibrium price. Or if you shift down, then you go back up. From what we have explained earlier. So only by shifting the entire curve will we be able to actually change the equilibrium point. And one example of this will be a decrease in supply. So an increase is just vice versa. When you increase supply, when you decrease supply, then the S1 will shift left to become S2. So your equilibrium price change from E to E prime. In this case now, because there's a decrease in supply, we can see that the quantity will of course be less, and when the quantity is less, then the price will increase as well. So if you want to just see the effect of any changes, we just draw the graph and you should be very easily able to tell whether the price increase or decrease, whether the equilibrium quantity increase or decrease. Taking a look at another example, now we have a change in the demand. In this case, the price of the petrol rises, so that means the petrol cars are now more expensive, the substitutes. So for electric cars, the demand will increase, so it shifts rightwards. In this case now, because when the demand shifts right, the price increase, the shift will cause both price and the quantity to increase. And the last example is when you have both the supply and demand increase, but it depends on, in this case where both the demand and supply changes, it really depends on whether the extent to which they change and the direction. For example, if both the demand and the supply was to increase, then undoubtedly the price and quantity increases as well. But if we take into account another scenario where the demand increase less than the supply, then because there's a very big change in the supply, the price will decrease and the quantity will increase. So in this case, the quantity increases but the price decreases. But in this case, because the demand increase more than the supply, the price increase while the quantity increase as well. So the effect of price will be ambiguous in such times, and a demand increase more than supply will lead to a price increase, while the supply increase more than demand will lead to a price decrease. In summary, we can see the effect of the supply and demand to equilibrium price and quantity through this table. So let's say you have increase in supply and increase in demand. You're not sure of what the price will do, but you know quantity will go up. If you have just an increase in supply, no change in demand, then it's straightforward. And if you have a decrease in demand and increase in supply, then we know that price will definitely decrease, but we are not sure about the quantity. So using this table, you're now able to know the changes in the equilibrium point when there's both changes in supply and demand. But to me, personally, I feel that if you just draw the graph, you're able to map it out fairly simply. That's all for this video. I hope you have enjoyed understanding the supply and demand concepts. In the next video, we'll talk more about it and about maybe government intervention. I'll catch you in the next one, and I'll see you again. Please like, share, and subscribe. It'll help boost the algorithm. And yeah, bye.